guys, welcome back to the Art of Craftsmanship. My name's Dustin, and today you can see we are not in the shop. We're in the car. We're on our way to East Durham, New York, at the Blackthorn Resort for Maker Camp. It's going to be super awesome. We're going to be there for the whole weekend. We'll be doing some timber framing. We'll be hanging out with blacksmiths, all sorts of makers. So we have our GoPro, which we're filming on now. So we'll have that and our normal camera. We also brought the drone. So we're going to get all sorts of fun footage and just bring you guys along for the whole journey. It should be awesome. We're going to meet some cool people and just show you what it's like to be at Maker Camp this weekend.
So we left Friday morning pretty early to get up to New York. We wanted to get up there as soon as possible so we could have the entire weekend. But it was a beautiful day, beautiful drive.
Breakfast champions. Some lighters too. I wasn't sure if we had lighters or not, so I got them.
Got it.
All right, here we go.
I think we probably stopped when we were about 45 minutes or so out from the Blackthorn, so we were close as we're driving down through some of the smaller towns before we got there. So we knew we were pretty close at this point. Here you can see as we're driving in, we get a good shot of us kind of driving around the main area where everything was happening. So there we just passed the timber frame setup area, and we'll come up around the corner. There's a good shot of the entire field. There in the middle there's Wesley Treats Maker Burn T-Rex. This is our awesome little campsite area. There you can see Craig DeCecco pull up in front of us. Setting up the tent, getting ready for the weekend, and there's Craig in the background setting up his little setup in the back of his truck. He slept right there. It's a perfect spot. Couldn't have gotten a better spot to be right there on top of everything that was happening right in the field next to us.
All right, guys, we're here. We are set up. We're ready to start walking around, checking some things out. We've got Chris Zepp's Sprinter van here, Derek from Malden's truck. We got Jimmy's bandsaw set up right behind that. We got all the Maker Forge guys over in their tent. We can see the blacksmith shop. We've got the giant T-Rex in the middle, and Justin Dietrich on the far end putting up his timber framing stuff. So we're about to go walk around and check out the lay of the land.
Here we're walking down into the field. You can see all the tents set up around the outside. There's Jimmy set up with his bandsaw doing some bandsaw demo. That was an awesome giant bandsaw, like 36-inch bandsaw. And then right next to him in the tent, there's Pat Lapp doing some wood turning, and Paul Jackman right behind him doing wood carving. This guy was doing chainsaw carving all weekend. He had some awesome music just blaring, which was a good background. There's Ilya from That Works setting up the chimney for the Bloom Forge. The end of the blacksmithing tent with the coal forges set up that you could jump on at any point. There was Steve Pellegrino doing a lesson. And there's the Maker Burn T-Rex in the middle. Wesley Treat and Michael Aum worked on that all weekend. Now we're over near the timber framing structure. So these are all the beams that we worked on during the timber in over the summer in July. So I came up for just a half a day to help. They were all there the whole weekend doing that, getting all that ready. So everything was ready for this weekend. And Justin's here putting some boiled linseed oil, I think it's mixed with turpentine, onto those to soak in to protect them. And there you can see the footers poured for where the actual timber frame structure is going to be brought up. There's Taylor Forrest and Keith Decent working on the Maker rug. So people could pitch in and do little parts of that rug all weekend. It was kind of fun. The guy we met, Noah, ended up winning that at the end. So there were a bunch of different vendors. This was a leather vendor that was there. Had some really awesome deals and prices there, you can see. I'm actually buying some leather at that point. I think that was the antique bison leather that I got.
6'4". On a good day. Dang. Got your hat on.
7'2".
Can't even see the top.
There's Silas Blacklow from Tiny Town Forge and Dave Franz. Silas was there working on the Damascus knife all weekend. We kind of worked through, built the billet, and then forged out the knife. I think Dave was working on a hammer at this point. Andrea De Leon was doing some really beautiful glass work, making these really cool roses where she would break the glass and then bend back the petals and stuff. Super cool.
In this particular instance, I'm not too concerned about what that looks like. Because as you saw with the other one, I just blew that part away, right? Actually, what happened here.
Well, Friday night I actually jumped on the forge and started working on a little kind of blacksmith knife. Now, this is mild steel, so it's only a butter knife. That's what I call it. But it was fun to be able to play around a little bit, use a coal forge, which I haven't really used much at all. So it was a nice learning experience. But just to have those there was really cool. And people were forging late into the night, hanging out, talking, and just a really awesome experience to be able to jump in at any point and use those if there was space available. And lots of people around to help and teach as well. There's Ben from Ben Makes KC, I think is his Instagram. He's a real good dude. And Chip, who came up with Justin Dietrich for the timber framing, doing a little wood carving there, or wood cutting, I guess. There you go. Perfect little blacksmith butter knife. Turned out pretty good. Do a little bit of grinding on it throughout the weekend and forging on it just to fix it up, but it did turn out pretty nice. I was happy with it. There I was using my flashlight in my mouth to give me some extra light. It was pretty dim in that tent at night. But nice little end to Friday evening.
All right, guys, good morning. Day 2, got my coffee ready. It's a beautiful day. I'm about to head over now and help Justin raise the timber frame structure.
So here we are getting everything set up and ready to build the timber frame structure. There you can see Justin Dietrich in the black hoodie in the middle. And this whole project was really his idea. This was his baby. He'd been working on this since the 2019 Maker Camp. But just there are so many people around helping. There's Jim from the Tradesman Channel. And here's Jess Crow working with Total Boat to do the epoxy pour. And the guys from Shaper did the routing of the Maker Camp and the logo in 2021 on that beam. Now for each post and beam, we use that strap system to pull everything together, and then we draw bore everything with those pegs. So everything was held together with wooden pegs, and the knee braces, post and beam, ridge poles, king posts. Everything was held together except for the rafters had some timber lock screws to hold them in, but everything other than that was held together with pegs.
Here, when I lift this up, bang that down.
This is it.
Ooh, that was close. Watch that point.
Here we are putting up that first bent. So each of those was 8 feet long. This was 8-foot bents with post and beam, and each one had a set of knee braces.
Roll this way first.
Where's our drill bit?
Sorry. Maybe this is labeled on that one. Me.
Give her a thump right from the other end.
There's a nice look at that epoxy pour. And Total Boat supplied all that epoxy.
So I'm cutting an 1/8 inch. We're gonna cut it.
There's Sean from Shaper doing a little bit more work using the Shaper on the posts. I was happy to have 2 mallets there that were used a lot throughout the process.
Pick one.
Come to me one more time. No, sorry. Yep. Do the thing.
There's the second bent up, getting set into place.
Yeah, come a little close to.
Little check in with a maker burn. There's Wesley Treat walking down the tail. It was fun to see the progress of that throughout the weekend. Here's a good shot of Jimmy DeResta working on his awesome vintage bandsaw here, doing some cutting demos. I think here he's making a little bat. Made a bunch of different stuff throughout the weekend. I had some blades and swords and words. It was cool to see him there working.
Quality lunch.
Here's Roy Scott from Vintage Axe Works doing a axe hang demo.
So whenever you do that, you'll see marks. It'll tell you exactly transitions where you need to take off material. All right. So we still have gaps, but we're getting closer up here. So we need to taper down the front.
So here we are back to the timber frame structure, and there's one of the king posts that goes up on top of the beam to hold up the ridge beam. There we had to spin that one around so the actual Maker Camp logo is facing out, but that was the third bent going up. And then we kind of leveled everything out and aligned all the knee braces to connect each bent. So we did all that first and then put up the ridge beams along each side. And there's quite a few shots of me holding ladders. That's not the only thing I did for the weekend. Put in a bunch of pegs, helped out with trimming stuff up, and that was the kind of thing. Everyone jumped in wherever they needed to.
We were so much better. You I understand that you're on the board.
Up on top, the final piece before the rafters.
Go, yes, yeah. Everybody say yeah.
I think everything for this build was made from local white pine, all the timbers and all the rafters. The pegs were all oak. Everything was local. It was all milled in that area.
But it's more the fact they're still trying to get these faces together, so it's kind of yeah.
Here we are finishing the last few ridge beams. So each rafter, not ridge beam, but each rafter had to be kind of touched up a little bit to make sure that they came together nice and cleanly at the top. So we would check each one and then do a little bit of like chisel work to make sure they were fitting really nice and tight.
Yeah, we should. Kristen with a watermelon, just like Abraham Lincoln. Can we hand you down a rafter? We've got a couple rafters. Split them? Yeah.
A little flag and the pine branch symbolize the finished structure. It was just a super cool thing to be a part of, and ended up being a really awesome structure that was dedicated to Aaron Matia, a really awesome person in the maker community. One of the really awesome things about this weekend was Mark Adams, and here you can see on the left those two hanging sheets. That's his photo booth, but he was there just taking pictures of people all weekend, so you could walk in and get your picture taken. It's a great way to document it. These are the guys from That Works, Matt Nilly and Chris Cash in the background there, getting ready to pull that bloom steel out. They had a little group hammer. We got Jeff Fader and Jesse Savage and Cliff Dufton helping out to hammer and isolate and consolidate that chunk of steel.
One of the events we put this together, and I said we had a guy work a little bit on that bridge, but dedication and time. So guys, thank you very much. Unfortunately, we're
It's been a long time coming, but I know, yes, a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it
At one point, we all headed over toward the blacksmithing tent and continued to drink and hang out late into the night. Really fun party and fun people. Here you can see everyone hanging around the fire, having a good time. It's a great way to end the evening. This is a super awesome bus, like a maker bus by Gordon Clement Gordo of Earth, or Gordo from Earth. Just super cool modified bus. Put these caption chairs in the front, some beds, and then there you can see behind me is the door that goes out back to the whole back area, which he has like blacksmithing stuff set up, and he's got all this crane and gantry system where he can pull down all the stuff from the outside. It was really awesome. You guys should check him out. This is what we had been anticipating all weekend. Barbecue. Chris and Will doing an awesome job. Barbecuing all these ribs and chicken, and everyone who was there got to participate and got to come through and get a ton of amazing barbecue.
Want to see a rib?
Oh.
There's a beauty for you. Want two?
So this is the same time they did the maker swap. There's Derek from Malden. He got a really cool calendar, wooden calendar you could flip over and it would show the day. And there's everybody's maker swap items. I think there were over 100 items. It was a great turnout. This is my item. This is from Gib Clark. Really cool leather pincushion and then a wet molded leather holster for a tape measure. I think it was really awesome. I got to use one of the shapers, which is a computer controlled router. And that was just a really cool tool to use. Really fun to kind of get a chance to play with that a little bit. And Devon got a chance to jump in, do a little bit of blacksmithing. Took one of the classes from Brett McAfee there. There's a nice little pan down the whole tent. So here you can see on the right side is where the Modern Forge guys were, and the guys from Coal Iron Works, and then Tiny Town Forge at the end. And on this end of the tent was where they had all of the coal forges set up. You could use there. Anyone wanted to jump on or take a class, they were available for everyone to use. Here's Devon working on a point and a long taper to do a scroll, which would then turn into a hook. That's a nice taper right there. And that evening I jumped onto the forge again just to do a little bit of cleanup work on the blacksmith butter knife, but I really wanted to just heat it up and give it a nice wire brush so that way I could do a final grind on it. There's Robert Bliss from Bliss Made Furniture working on a rose, and that he put together in the welding tent. Final little grind on that knife using the Broadbeck grinder. This was right before the end of the evening on Sunday. And here we are. Awesome way to cap off the entire weekend with the Maker Burn here.
Let's make some noise, everybody. This dinosaur's on fire!
It was a really awesome weekend and just a great way to meet a bunch of makers and people, get together, try some new things if you don't have the tools at your own place, be able to do a little blacksmithing and welding and woodwork and timber framing and just learn from really awesome people. Just have a great time. We really enjoyed ourselves, and we'll definitely be back next year. So thank you guys all so much for watching. It's been fun to recap this and go over it with you and bring you along for the ride. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one.